Hi, in this video Ken and I share some thoughts about Panzers Last Stand and the battle for Komarom, scenario 5.7. So, welcome everyone. This is The Great Game. I'm Richard Rindack and I'm with Ken Reppel. And we'd like to share our thoughts about Panzers Last Stand. It's a game we just finished playing. So we've already covered the BCS system. Panzers Last Stand does introduce some new elements. And I think the one that's most noteworthy is how activations work. Activations could be in one of two tiers.
One of the caveats to that of the tiers is that you have to pre-designate tier ones in your primaries.
Yeah,
you have to
primaries and
those
surges
prior to the turn.
Yeah,
So,
secretly.
Yeah,
secretly. The Germans in the scenario we played, we were all tier 2 almost the whole time we played. Which means we're limited to a response activation or secondary activation.
Right, that was a big deal. Yeah.
That was a big deal because the secondary activation gets a -1 dice roll modifier, and the Germans start out tired, and the Russians are getting +1 to the dice roll, and the Germans are getting -1, even before anyone gets tired or not tired or anything like that. But if either side, usually it's the person with the initiative, but if one side inflicts a loss on the other side, that formation that suffers the loss is spoiled. And that means if they haven't activated yet.
It's a 2 dice roll modifier difference. From a +1 on the surge to the -1 on the spoiled on the same tier is 2 dice roll.
Yeah. So that's the big difference from other systems is the activations. And the fact that you've got 2 tiers and that you could get a spoiling attack. And it really made for interesting gameplay.
That was good. I enjoyed that.
So we were still learning this system, even though we played AirCore. We even played some games off-screen to just get familiar with the system. And even towards the end of Panzer's Last Stand, we were still either learning some specific rules or learning to appreciate some of the rules. We were doing standalone destruction barrages with 3 hits. And you can only do 3 hits on a destruction barrage if it's part of an attack.
Right.
So when you're attacking, you have to choose, do you do a suppression barrage, which is it's not even a hit, it's a dice roll modifier, or are you doing a destruction barrage? Then you can do 3, but then you don't get the suppression dice roll modifier afterwards. You have to choose to take it up front or take it as a dice roll modifier to the attack. If you're just doing a standalone barrage, it's just 1 hit. Well, we didn't realize that, and I think we both suffered from it, but I think the Germans suffered more.
So I was dropping the artillery like Americans.
Yeah, constantly. Yeah, and especially you had concentrated your artillery with, I think it was the 9th Mechanized. Yeah, and you had something like, when you had a full activation, I had 6 or more.
I think I had
artillery.
8 at one point, so even if I was halved, I had 4.
It was incredible. It took a lot out of the Germans.
It's good to know that that we were doing that wrong.
Yeah, it is good to know that.
Because it's best the way it really is supposed to be. Part of the thing about that, I think, is the way the rules are, they don't like to repeat things. They'll say a rule, but there's no reminders later of rules and stuff. They'll say a rule once, and this rule is located in the upper right-hand corner of a page up there. So it's also in an example. But I'm not an example guy. I'm a rule guy. I read rules and try to understand. I try to...
Especially when you're going back to the rules. You tend not to look at the examples too much.
Yeah, right. So, we missed
that. So that was artillery. The other thing that we were doing correctly, but I think we didn't fully appreciate the value of this, is AV zones of control are different from just a generic zone of control. But going back to the opening moves, when I played it out, after we realized the importance of the AV zone of control and the importance of dropping support, it's like the Russians, all they have to do is there's one guy standing in the way. It's a Hungarian, the Laszlo division, and he's got AV support. You knock it out. You roll right by him because you've got all these AV units.
I didn't understand that. I thought... I think at that point I was still not understanding that you had a mandatory only with standoff.
Yeah.
That's why the 88s
mandatory
are so
engagement.
yeah.
Yeah.
That's why the 88s are so important.
Yeah.
In that scenario.
And actually, towards the end of the game, I basically gave up when 9th Mech decided to go north and go against my infantry. I thought I had the north covered because I was deep. I had 211th Volksgrenadier.
You had 2 lines.
And I think it was the 158th. So I had 2 formations blocking the north. The problem was the 158, which was guarding the rear, they didn't have AV support. And once the 9th Mech did they did a right turn, no anti-tank, you knock out support for 1 or 2 units and you're off to the races.
Yeah, right. I felt the whole scenario that, and it was apparent almost by my play that I was just going to push my guys forward. I had, like I said, mixed formations, crossing streams, 8.
Yeah.
So I was pushing them forward like a bunch of
forward.
Russians. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, having said that, we haven't tried the other scenarios in Panzers Last Stand, but the one we played, Komarom, I think it's a great scenario.
Yeah,
First of all,
it.
It's a 2-mapper, but you're only using the equivalent of, less than 1 map, I think, because you're north of the Danube, and once you launch your offensive, all the action takes place in a very concentrated area. But there's room to maneuver. But you've got slopes and other things that affect whether or not you have AV support. That was the other thing, mentioning AV support. Terrain can cause you to lose AV support. So,
it's so important.
Yeah. So I'm thinking as the Germans, okay, I've got red support for my guys. They're in good terrain. And then it turns out, no, look, this guy's on a slope. He can't have support. Or if he's in a swamp, can't have support. Again, the importance of AV didn't fully appreciate till late in the game.
Right, true.
Actually, that's why we'd like to play one more game.
Yes.
We'd like to play one more BCS
with
game before.
More tanks, maybe.
More tanks and more understanding.
Yeah.
But also, I'd love to try the optional rules.
Okay.
I'd like to try the optional fatigue rules, especially, and the soft jumps.
Okay, I prefer that.
Yeah, because
Aiming at the headquarters, I love doing it.
Yeah.
But that was way harder in this game to do it. You had too many guys. In Aircore, it's easier to do that.
So we are going to try last Blitzkrieg, give it one more shot before we move on to some other games.
If you want to take a moment about strategy for this scenario, strategy and tactics, what was I thinking? Okay, so I had the 24th Infantry Corps at the top. The 25th was the blue. They were the key. For me, they were the ones that were going to have to do the job. Once if I could just take 24th and wall them off and swing these guys underneath and push them this way, then my mechanized units can drive forward.
Which is ultimately
That's
kind of what
happened. Trying to do.
Yeah.
Never, trying to. They're very slow.
I tell you, for the Germans, it's really straightforward. Just hang on.
Yeah.
Hang on at all costs.
Would you pull back and try to defend in a counterattack or try to defend up front?
Well, I'll tell you what. When I replayed the beginning of the scenario, understanding the AV zone of control rules a little bit better, the short scenario of this, the goal is for the Russians to take Komarom by turn 4.
Yeah, right.
We
talked about that at one point.
That's crazy. If that actually plays out that way.
Yeah, it could be done, yeah.
The Germans just end up, 8th Panzer comes as reinforcements on turn 1.
Now they're on their heels.
You virtually have to send them to Komarom because
forget
about holding the line there. If the Russians effectively punch through the line, you're scrambling. Everyone's running to Komarom. It's a race for Komarom, basically.
At that point, I might not aim for Komarom. I might aim for as a town K.
Yeah.
Like that one. Maybe aim for the supply line of Komarom.
Yeah.
Maybe. That might be something.
But
you're hamstrung as the Germans like that.
The other thing that I was lucky in is I got 20th Panzer to come in. Their optional
was it the first
reinforcements.
roll? Second roll?
I don't know, but if you're not lucky, if they don't come in for you as the Germans, then you've only got 3 formations. I don't see how you do it. You hang on for dear life.
Oh yeah. I didn't understand the power of the 9th Mechanized formation. I'll say it was like a corps. What is that?
It's a core.
Mechanized core.
Mechanized
It
core.
seems like the 5th tank is the powerful unit, but it's not. It's the other one.
Because a lot of dual units.
Yes.
Right?
They can shoot, they can attack.
They're AV.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
the
they're
dual
great.
units are super powerful, and the Russians had a lot of them.
Yeah, that was...
And the Germans, they just basically their strong formation is 8th Panzer, and
left too much on the table. I know that. If I would,
Yeah.
if I look back, left that on the table, should have done that. Left that on too many chips on the table, man.
nevertheless, it's a good game.
Yeah, it was fun. That's the point. I like to push the Panzer. If you like to push Panzers around,
Yeah.
that's why I really wish they had Panzers on them, because I really want to push Panzers. And I want them to be, nice big pieces like Aircore. So when I'm pushing Panzers, I'm really pushing Panzers.
Oh, and you want the silhouette.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah, so you can see that you're...
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
If I got a Panzer IV, even it's nonsense, but it's fun.
Okay. Well, I got to say, we've played Aircore,
Great
we've
game.
played Panzers Last Game. I'm loving the BCS system more and more. The
Yeah.
more I play it, the more I appreciate it. But I'd like to try it out with the optional rules. I think it might be even more fun.
Right. I really liked it. That was a fun game. They had a lot of stuff to do. On my end, I was doing a lot of stuff. On your end, I'm not too sure, because you're on your heels a little bit.
I'm on my
there.
heels almost the whole game.
Yeah. So, but it was a great game. It was tons of fun. I love BCS, and it might be, I don't want to give anything, but it might be actually my favorite World War II system.
Oh.
I might have to
wow.
go there. Why? Because you can attack. You can do everything you want. You can do the thing with the infantry. You can do the thing with the tanks. The barrages are kind of a vanilla, but generic. Okay, you roll a dice, you can kill or not kill. But the other stuff, the way you conduct combat is great.
I hope you enjoyed the video. If so, consider giving it a like. Anyway, thanks for watching. This has been The Great Game.